another screen, you will be able to see the blood pressures of this patient. So I received a report on this patient, and she tells me, oh yes, I'm aware that the blood pressures are low. Now, as a new nurse, or even if you're an experienced nurse and you're getting lazy, don't forget to check your trends. So lady blood pressures that y'all gonna see was already soft, low, or on the low normal side, which means that the systolic is still greater than 90, but it's low normal. So you skating thin ice, that's a fine line, especially with a patient that just had surgery or back surgery, that any knee surgeries, back surgeries, hips, these people lose lots of blood. The blood loss can be a lot, and it depends on the size of the patient also. So with that being said, this bitch sitting down chilling, so nonchalant. So just from looking at these vitals, what do y'all possibly think could be going on? So for you new nurses, MAP, mean arterial pressure. That, remember, I'm more than showing some of my other YouTube channels. I have spoken of magic numbers, classic signs, and if not, you're gonna hear this throughout most of my channels. For mean arterial pressure, 60 to 70 is your magic number. That means that what it says, mean arterial pressures, meaning that throughout the body, if that's your magic number, that means that the patient is getting proper perfusion in all of his organs. Anything less than 60 is death, necrosis, no perfusion, decreased circulation, okay? Understand. Remember, pressure equals volume, okay? So more than likely, if the pressure is low, the volume is low. So think about how the patient had a surgery. I just want y'all to start critical thinking here. This bitch though, well, her nonchalant ass. Now this gonna be travel nurse versus staff nurse. Nurse fight. But anyway, I literally had to get kind of like aggressive with her to make her even message the doctor. You know what this bitch told me? Oh, I messaged him about another patient, and it took him an hour to respond. Well, maybe that patient wasn't hemodynamically unstable, bitch. Maybe you were just asking to change the Tylenol from just pain and add temperature too. But hold, this one hemodynamically unstable. I'm more than sure you start sending them bags over to a medical professional, Dr. MD. He's gonna respond to you in less than 30 minutes, bitch, because these are critical values. So with that being said, she tell me the patient don't have no IV. So why wouldn't you have an IV or some type of line in a patient with pressures that low and not care? Oh, she pulled it out. I said, so she pulled it out and you think that's okay? No, I need you to message the doctor now and get orders for a line and possibly some fluids. Now, you have to err on the side of caution when you talk about fluids, especially if the patient has a weak heart, which is called congestive heart failure, or they have some type of renal insufficiencies or on dialysis. They may still choose to give them fluids, but it might be in a smaller amount. But anyway, long story short, she messaged the doctor. We got an IV in the patient. Labs hadn't been done for 2 days. I watched the hemoglobin, and you're gonna also see it go from 10 to 8, and then last but not least, 6.6. So another thing that she told me that was very concerning to me, but wasn't concerning to her, staff versus traveler, she said, oh, she was L times 4, but now she's confused. Let me tell y'all something. Do not get frustrated with patients that go from being neurologically stable, meaning asking them the little questions, or them being coherent, meaning they can have a conversation with you, like back and forth with you, you know, a dialect, not just a monologue, a dialogue. Don't get confused with them, because signs of restlessness, anxiousness, and all those different things can mean hypoxia, which could lead to an anoxic brain injury because the patient is not getting proper circulation or perfusion, which is also called oxygen to the brain. So secondary to that, clinically, they're going to present as being restless and pulling shit. So that means you need to fucking do something about it. You understand? So the doctor called me. I informed the doctor of everything. So this is how it went. I informed the doctor of the situation of what was going on with the patient. So he asked for me to put the patient on like video camera, which is a good technology to use so he can get a full visual of the patient and ask the patient the same neurological questions. You know the first thing he asked me? Well, why didn't they call me? I said, I insisted that she call you, and she told me that she wasn't going to call you because you wasn't going to give no orders. So anyway, long story short, he said that the acute change in mental status and the low blood pressure warrant something to him, meaning that further assessment needed to be done. So he did his assessment on her. He gave me orders to give her a 500 bolus cc 500 cc bolus. I also assessed and checked her pedal pulses and her pulses, and I checked for edema. I checked for bleeding, like external bleeding, being that she had a surgery, but everything was dry and intact. So after that, he added a hospitalist to the case. So sometimes you have patients that will come in. This is for you new nurses that come in as day surgery, same day surgery, and they only might have a surgeon attached to their chart. Sometimes when patients are unstable, they may need to be signed on a hospitalist. Usually those two people talk to each other, which should be better anyway. It shouldn't be no middleman talking about some very intense or complicated or complex value. It should be doctor to doctor. So anyway, them two talk to each other. The hospitalist come on the case. The hospitalist don't know the patient. I had to inform her and update her on the patient's history and what was currently going on with the patient. So after thoroughly going through all the values and my assessment and what was told to me, what was handed off to me in my handoff bedside shift report, the hospitalist decided to make the decision to send the patient to ICU. Shout out to the travel nurse versus the staff nurse. I ain't throwing no shade because they got some good staff nurses out there, don't get me wrong, but don't play with us travelers. So this is that same patient labs. Look at the WBCs, the red blood cells, the hemoglobin, the hematocrit, the MCV, the MCH, platelets. Last typing screen was done on the 19th. It's only good for 72 hours, so the patient is going to need another typing screen. Intervention.